welcome to Katrina's Creations. This is the Wednesday episode, and if you haven't guessed already based on the title, it is not a knit crate unboxing. No, it's being shipped, but there's just no way it's going to be here in time for today's video. So instead, we're doing something different. And this applies to knit or crochet. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show different shapes of shawls and the pros and cons of each. So I thought that would be kind of interesting. So we're going to start with the very basic of shawls, and that is the triangular shawl. Now, no shawls are actually triangular where all three sides are the same. I believe that's an isosceles triangle, because if that was the case, they would either have to be extremely long, like hanging to your knees, in order to have enough width this direction to actually wrap around your shoulders. So most shawls are actually, even though they're triangular, they are wider than they are deep. So I'm going to show you two different styles. One is a shorter version. Now, shorter shawls are a lot of times referred to as a shawlette, or just like they just go around the shoulders basically. And years ago, shawls only referred to wrapping around your shoulders and hanging down your back. Nowadays, if they hang in the front, they're still considered shawls. So this particular shawl is a triangular. Both sides are the same, but you can see it is not an isosceles triangle. It is definitely wider than it is tall. And this one is called the Yexa shawl. It's by Janine McCarty. She has the Yarn and You Girl podcast. And so this is one of her patterns. And I believe it is a 2-color shawl, but I did it in 3. So mine is in autumn colors. Now I could wear this in the traditional way around my shoulders like this, and it would be fine. And it's just going to keep my shoulders warm. But these shorter shawls are traditionally worn either off to the side or in the front. And this is where you want the sides to be long so they can wrap around and hang like that, which is the way I wear this shawl when I wear it. And I do wear it quite often, especially in the fall. So this is the shorter version. Now the longer version that I have of a triangular shawl is the Granny meets Virus meets Granny shawl. I always get it reversed. So this one is almost too tall to hold up, but it is a very generous shawl. This is obviously not one I'm going to wear around the front of me because it would hang way down below, like the chest area. This one is one that you would definitely wear around your shoulders. I love this shawl. I wear it quite often. I wear it and the Virus shawl quite often, simply because it is wide enough that when I put it on, it stays in place, which for me is a big thing. If I'm going to wear a shawl around my shoulders, I do not want to be grabbing it, constantly pulling it over, which is why the traditional triangle or isosceles triangle does not work for a shawl, because it's not enough to pull around. So I love this one. There's enough to kind of crisscross in front of me. It's not going anywhere. So this is, if I'm going to wear a long triangular shawl, I really, really like the Virus or the Virus meets Granny. I know there's other ones out there. These are just the ones that I've made that are my favorites. Now, as far as any cons with that particular shawl, I don't really have any, unless they're just not wide enough to wrap around. And that would apply with pretty much any of the shapes of the shawls that I'm going to show. So that is probably the most versatile of the shawls, and one of my favorites. The next one is actually considered a wrap, not so much a shawl. And I'm going to show you a long version and a short version. So the short version, I'll show you the short version first, which is basically a wrap is, it's always a variation of a rectangle. It might be more rhombus shaped. So in other words, the ends might angle different, but it's basically long and straight. It's not going to go out like a triangle or anything. And so this is one, I do not remember the name of the pattern. But anyway, here is what it looks like. I don't wear this one very often. I like the color, but I do find this yarn is a little bit scratchy around my neck. Now this is something you would wear out in the wintertime, of course, under a coat, but it's not something you're going to really wrap around your shoulders, of course, because there's not that much there. Like I said, you're going to wrap it around your neck under a coat, or you can wear it in the kerchief style where it would go on like so. And when I wear this, this is how I wear it. This particular pattern is reversible because it's all garter stitch, so there's no real front or back. So it doesn't matter if they kind of get twisted a little bit. So when I do wear it, I do like this style. I like this particular style of wearing it because, again, you have long ends and it's not a lot of, unlike some of the kerchief ones like the one I just showed you, which can be kind of bunched up in here if the yarn is a bulkier weight yarn. Most of the ones I'm showing you are fingering weight, but if it's a worsted weight yarn, it can end up just too much up top here. So I do like the fingering weight for shawls for the most part, and I just think this is lighter weight without giving a whole lot of warmth. You know, keeps your neck a little bit warm, but it's not like over the top looking like you're wearing a neck brace. So this is the narrow version of a wrap. And now we have a longer version of a wrap. Now this is my pattern, and this is the Crochet wrap. It is a free pattern on Lovecrafts that you can get in the link down below if you're interested. Like I said, it is free. And this is my second version of this. In my intro on Saturdays, and I think in the intro that you watched this time, you see kind of a turquoise wrap that's the same pattern, but I gave that particular one to my mother. So this is what this one looks like. This is the center, and then both sides are the same, and this is crocheted, of course. And this is one of those wraps where it ends in a point. So it's rectangular, but the end isn't necessarily rectangular. Now this one, and like most wraps, it is deep enough that you could wear it around your shoulders like this, much like the triangular shawl, and it has enough to hang down that it's not going anywhere. Similar to the pocket shawl, it's basically one of these type of wraps with pockets put in the ends. So these are nice because they're not going anywhere. You can wear them. Now this would be, I guess, the con in this particular style. And again, it would depend on the weight of the yarn, because this is, it's not a worsted weight. I'd say it's maybe like a sport weight. So it's heavier than fingering weight. But if I wrapped this around my neck, while it does fit, it would be super warm, and it's just, for me personally, this is too much to wear like this. It could be done if I was wearing a coat and I wanted something snuggly around my neck. Yeah, that would be good. But to wear just as an accessory, you know, to put with a shirt or something, this is too much. Like I said, I feel like I'm wearing a neck brace. I feel like my head is restricted. So this would be the con with this particular is it's not as easily adapted to this type of style. It's more definitely meant, just like the large triangular shawl, it's meant more to wrap around your shoulders. It's not really meant to be versatile for both ways. Now the next style is the asymmetrical shawl. Now I have not crocheted an asymmetrical shawl, so I'm going to be showing you knitted ones for both a large and a small, and both of these are actually my patterns too. Shameless self-promotion. But anyway, they were the ones I had that I thought showed and would show up in the camera the best. So this is more shawlette style. This is the narrow one. This is banner unfurled. I've made this numerous times as gifts. My first one that I made was in red, white, and blue, so I had something patriotic to wear for patriotic holidays. Only thing is, all patriotic holidays always fall in the summer, and it's a little warm, even though it's made out of cotton. But anyway, this is the banner unfurled. It is not deep at all. It's only maybe about 10 inches. Now, I never really blocked this. I could probably block it to about maybe 13 inches. So it all depends on the yarn itself. Now, this type of shawl could be worn around your shoulders, but kind of what's the point? You don't see all the fancy stuff on it. So for me, I wear this strictly in the front. Like this. Now here is the con that I find with asymmetrical shawls. They have a point, but because they're not triangular, the point, if you want the point to fall in the center, your ends are two different lengths, which can look a little weird. So you end up putting it a little more this way, so the point is off center some, and then they hang down evenly. So I do find sometimes because of this, that as the day goes on, it starts, one side falls off because one side is heavier than the other side. That's just kind of the nature of the beast with this particular pattern, or this particular shape. So that is one thing that I don't like about asymmetrical shawls. The thing I do like about them is they're fun to do, because an asymmetrical shawl starts at one end, at the narrow end, and then you work your way across. So in this particular one, you start here and then you go across from there. And each time as you're going, it gets wider and wider until it reaches its widest. And at its widest point, which is where the ruffle is at the bottom, where the picot edging is, that's what forms the point of the shawl itself. So that's the short version. Now the wider version, this one is called Keeping You in Stitches. This is one of my favorites. It is asymmetrical, but because of the size of it and because the stitches go out, it almost becomes triangular, so it's a little easier to wear. Now this one is deep enough and wide enough that I can wear it around my shoulders if I wanted to. And it does hang. It doesn't hang as wide. I mean, it doesn't have as wide of a wingspan as a triangular shawl does, but it's still there. Like I said, it's still not something I could like crisscross comfortably. If I do this, I'm really having to pull it to make it work. I tend to wear this one in the front, even though it is a little bit longer. It's probably about 2 feet from the top to the bottom. And it is all different stitches. And again, it's asymmetrical, so you start with garter and then it goes into all different versions of different lace patterns. So if you want to learn how to knit lace, but you want to do it with a fingering weight yarn, this is an ideal pattern. Plus the fact that you're not doing any set pattern for a whole length of time. You know, the pattern changes every couple of inches or so, so you don't have to get, if you find a pattern you're not enjoying, hang on, it won't last long. So the bottom light yellow is the widest part of the shawl, but as you can see when I hold it out, it is almost triangular just because of the way I did the increases on it. So, and this one I tend to wear like this. And like I said, because it's almost triangular, the ends are almost the same length. One is maybe 2 inches difference. So I just wear the point slightly off to the side. And I do wear this one a lot. I wear it with like a black shirt or a black striped shirt. So that is the asymmetrical shawls. Now the last shawl I'm going to talk about, I only have one because I've only ever made one. I don't know why, because they actually, this particular one is probably my most worn shawl. This is technically a shawlette because it's small. This is a crescent style shawl. This is one of my favorites, and this one was done slightly different than most crescents. Most crescents you start in the center and then you basically keep doing this, going back and forth and getting wider and wider like this. This one actually started wide and then you began the curve. And I wish I could remember what the yarn was I made this with, because it is so extremely soft. It's like snuggling up with a baby blanket. It's extremely soft, which is probably why I like to wear it. This is called Round Dance. It is a free pattern. And I wear this a lot with grays because it has like gray and light sea. It reminds me of sea glass because it has a lot of sea glass type of colors in it. And then it has this lace detail. This is also a fingering weight. But this particular shawl, crescent shawls can be deep shawls, just the same as the others. They could be the type you can wear around your shoulders. Crescent shawls are usually way more wide than they are deep. This one could be worn around my shoulders, and it certainly is more than wide enough to do that. And I have done that before, and it just keeps the top of your shoulders warm. However, the way I wear this the most, and like I said, I wear it a lot with gray because it has a real pretty powdery gray in this. I wear it around my neck like this. And because it is symmetrical, not asymmetrical, your ends are the same length, and the lace pattern really shows up to the fullest. So I think if I had to pick my favorite shape for wearing around my neck, the crescent shaped shawl would be my favorite, just because I think it lays the nicest. I like symmetry. I like my ends to be the same length. But as far as which shawl is the most fun to make, I would say the triangular or the asymmetrical. Probably my least favorite to make is the wrap, simply because it's a narrow stretch and it seems to take forever because you're just doing a short, you don't tend to go lengthwise this way. Most of the time with a wrap, you are going this direction the whole length. Whether you're knitting or crocheting, it's generally done from end to end instead of top to bottom. So it does seem to take forever, where the other shawls seem to go a little bit quicker. So this has just been my own short little opinion of different shawl shapes and the pros and cons for me personally of what I like and what I don't like about each one. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give me a thumbs up. Next Wednesday's video should be Knit Crate. It has been shipped. It just isn't going to get here in time for this video this week. Thanks for watching, and I will see you again on Saturday. Bye, everybody.